So, Olivier, I was on a panel about a year ago, and a very interesting discussion ensued whereby one of the practitioners on the panel was mentioning how initially, somewhere in the corner of a building, somewhere in their company, somebody experimented with RPA, and then somewhere else, somebody heard about the good news and they started to experiment, and then before you know it, these projects, you may call them rogue projects or small projects, started popping up in different places. And then management saw this and got concerned about the fact that there was no structure, maybe no connection to an overall master plan or a strategy, if you will. So, but half of the audience in that room was very pro grassroots. We know we need. Here we are, our hands on. I don't want to wait for the big bosses to figure this out in the next 2 years. However, the other half of the room felt quite confident that the only way for this to succeed and get true business value outcome is for a top-down, senior executive supported and sponsored effort. So what are your thoughts on top-down versus bottoms-up?
Yeah, typical question, I think. So that basically, is not looking for a black and white answer. I definitely do not believe that the right approach is to go either or. I think the answer is and. There's knowledge that can only be identified and captured and transformed into bots on the floor. It will never be available on the top. So people that are doing day in, day out their job, they know their job, they know what can be automated, and that will never come from top down. At the same time, there is a need here because we talk about adding bots, a lot of bots. And when we start reaching a certain amount of scale, there's a risk attached to it, and that those risks have to be managed. There's need for governance. There's need for sponsorship. There's need for integration with the company strategy for all of this to make sense. So when we look at top-down versus bottom-up, it is more a matter of understanding what needs to be done top-down versus what needs to be done bottom-up. And those who are able to correctly identify the right task, the right RACI model, the right distribution between what we want the leadership to own, what we want the COE to do, what we want the central function to handle versus what can get done by the folks on the floor, especially with large corporation where you have activity across multiple locations, multiple regions, where you have tens of thousands of people working with hundreds of clients. That knowledge is always going to be on the edge, right? So think about an architecture model where you will have some done at the core, and it makes sense to be done at the core or in the cloud, and some down at the edges. So this is really how I look at it. And I have seen successful implementation where you have some sort of a hybrid where the central body is doing a very good job at driving, connecting with the strategy, ensuring that we know why we do this, what is the business impact that is impacted, that is targeted, and also driving the governance to make sure that we keep some sort of control, right? And at the same time, the folks on the floor around the world, around the different business unit who have the knowledge are basically directly contributing to the identification and sometimes with the citizen developer to the creation of the bots.
Mm-hmm. So my sense is you believe it is a kind of a combination, right, of this bottoms up, top down approach, right? So it's like you say, it's not an or, it's an and.
Yes, and there's also when you look at the opportunity, when you discover the environment and you look at all the opportunity that you are finding, either by looking at the data that is collected, doing some discovery, or talking to people, there will be opportunity that are best managed centrally because they are large, because they are unattended by nature, and there will be opportunity, typically the long end of the tail, that will be best managed in a decentralized way with a citizen developer.
Okay, no, that's great. A great answer and great advice. Thank you.